your business on 105.9 The Region.
105.9 The Region, and we have teamed up, of course, with the CAA over the last little bit to talk about issues of road safety. And the end goal is to hopefully make our roads safer for everyone, for you and for me. Teresa Di Felice joins me once again from the CAA Central Ontario. Hi, Teresa, how are you?
I'm good. Good to be back, Kevin.
It is. And we are going to talk about today the number one safety concern.
That's right. Speeding and aggressive driving is taking a terrible toll on our roads this year already and over the past couple of years.
So when we talk about speeding, we're not talking about people racing. Okay. A lot of times we think people speeding is 50, 60, 70 kilometers an hour over the speed limit. We are talking about people doing 20 kilometers an hour over the limit. And those limits are in areas for a reason, right?
They're on our highways for a reason, and they're in our local streets and communities for a reason. And that is because there's a lot of different objectives of the roadway and what the roadway is there to do. And primarily it's to keep you safe.
And we've had such a tragedy here in Vaughan in the past few months of two beautiful young children in their driveway and, killed by someone who felt that they were in control, but they weren't. They were doing a speed that in no way should have been done on a residential street. And it only took a second. That person didn't go out intending to kill someone, but it happened.
Yeah, actually, we run an annual survey every couple of years, but we just got the results of our 2022 speeding survey. And, 83% of Ontarians are seeing speeding on the roads. Yes, that's on highways, but we had a huge jump with people saying that the places that they're seeing a lot of speeding is on local city roads and in school zones and residential streets. So what we typically would say that people are driving fast on highways or major arterial roads is now sort of in every community, in every local road. It's become an issue where people are either racing to the stop sign or racing to avoid traffic. And it's a serious concern. It's a concern by the police who are trying to figure out how to enforce this all, but it's a concern for everybody who lives on these streets and either walks, cycles, or drives.
And coming up in a few minutes, we're going to tell you how you can actually get something for free, by the way, from the CAA for your neighborhood that can make a difference. So stay tuned for that right now. I got to pass on a story to you. Just yesterday, I was with a friend in a residential area, and she has a 6-year-old boy, and he was going across the street to see a friend, and he ran across without looking. Okay. And we both shouted at him, and to remind him, but a car came barreling down the street, a white Volkswagen, and it was going way too fast for the street. He made a mistake. He's 6 years old. The driver would not have seen, if it had been 1 second later, the driver would have hit him, would not have seen him coming. And to me, it's mind-boggling why anyone still wants to speed through a residential neighborhood, because they don't know when someone's going to come running out.
This is especially true in, residential roads, in school zones. Children are unpredictable. They don't have the same ability to juggle all the different parameters. Getting that ball back seems to be the main issue. They can't juggle the fact that they've got to look for traffic or that a car might be barreling down towards them. And so it really is a driver's responsibility to be aware of the road conditions. And that includes obeying the speed limits.
Mm-hmm. And you can argue, well, I'm okay at that speed limit. However, whatever the speed limit for a residential area is, whether it's 30, 40, or 50 kilometers an hour, you're better able to stop, react than you are at 70 kilometers an hour.
Correct. And actually, I know there's been some resistance to the fact that, there are people up there getting a little frustrated that municipalities are changing their speed limits Regular 50-kilometer streets are becoming 40 or 30. But there's a reason for the data exists to show that, especially in school zones and certain residential streets, it's a lifesaver. It's the difference between injuring someone and killing someone, especially a child. And so this is, why these speed limits are being reduced, is because we don't have the right behaviors that are happening by people who are traveling these roads by vehicles. And the only way to do that is to change some of the conditions to force that change behavior. People are driving distracted. People aren't being aware or expecting the unexpected. I've said this time and time again. Driving is a skill. It requires all of your attention, and it requires you to obey and know the rules of the road.
43% of Ontario drivers, according to your study, engage in speeding. Majority of those, 60%, speed between 10 to 19 kilometers an hour over. The 19 is important. That was not done on purpose, or that was not done just accidentally.
No, it's not. There is this belief out there that if you if you speed under 19 or under 20 kilometers an hour, you are not likely to get a ticket on a highway, or you're okay. But I think there's people who have misinterpreted some of the signage that it exists out there and misunderstands what happens. So speeding 1 kilometer over the posted speed limit is speeding, and you could be subject to a speeding charge if there is enforcement and you get caught. People tend to go under 20 kilometers an hour. So that 19 to under is because they feel like that puts them under sort of the radar, for lack of a better term. The charges are a little bit lower at that rate. So after 19 kilometers over the speed limit, charges get exponentially higher. Then you start adding in things like demerit points and things like that. So there is this fallacy that people have learned to drive saying, well, if I just go under 20 kilometers, it's okay. And speeding is speeding.
Mm-hmm. So you now at the CAA, and these are effective because I've been in neighborhoods where they are, and it does give me cause to think. And that is, you are offering free lawn signs. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So a couple of years ago, we launched our Slow Down Please campaign. And these are signs that are available for people to put on their front lawns. And this is, we've seen these throughout the years. Some municipalities have come up with them. You see kids at play signs. There's a number of reasons or different messaging, but what we've really found is that people are appreciating it. And we've actually heard back from some of the residents and members who've picked them up that they are noticing a difference when drivers on their streets are reminded by these signs to slow down.
And so I think, too, that we really have to get the message out to drivers and try and appeal, if possible, to their common sense. Now, speeding on a highway is one thing. And folks, if you're going to be speeding on a highway, your chance of injury or death increase exponentially. But when you're speeding in a neighborhood, it doesn't make any sense, because how much time are you going to save by doing 20 kilometers an hour over 1 or 2 blocks on a street?
And you're not, especially with stop signs or traffic lights. So,
well, they don't stop for stop signs anyway. So,
I mean, this perception that you're actually saving time, maybe you're avoiding traffic, but avoid it at the regular speed if you're going to do that. Don't go whizzing through residential streets where you've got, again, kids, you've got seniors, you've got pets, especially if it's a community that you're not familiar with. We now have wayfinding things that tell us to take shortcuts, but obey the speed limits, because you don't understand what's happening there.
You bring up a really good point. We're going through neighborhoods now we never would have thought about going through. In fact, a lot of neighbors are complaining to wayfinding groups such as Google, such as Waze, saying, can you please stop putting people on our streets? So we've seen an increase in traffic volume on these streets, as well as an increase in speed. What chance do kids have?
It's really concerning. And, I think that, again, this is becoming such a huge issue, which is, again, why we're seeing lowered speed limits. We're seeing the support and use of automated speed enforcement, because you can't have a police officer on every residential road. I mean, we struggle with enforcement on all kinds of issues. There's just not enough resources to do that. And so, the only way to do that is to find the technical tools to deal with behavior change. The best way to deal with behavior change is if people would recognize their part and do their part by actually going the speed limit, not driving distracted, following the rules of the road. So the more people that are driving distracted, the more incidents we have, the more tickets that are issued. It only enforces the belief that people won't change their own behavior. And the way to do that is higher speed fines, higher penalties. And we're seeing that with speeding and aggressive driving, like stunt driving that was released last year. It will just continue unless people just sort of say, hey, if this were my neighborhood, would I be going that fast? Do I want someone going that fast when my kid's playing on the sidewalk or, trying to get to school? We're trying to accomplish a lot of things. And all of these risks are playing into our inability to achieve those, like having kids walk and bike to school. And people are scared to allow their kids to do that. People are scared to have their kids playing out front. Many of us grew up playing out front in front of our homes. And the changing nature of traffic is really creating some fear. But for a real reason, right? People are getting hurt. There's a lot of near misses. And we need to be really tackling that.
How do people get the signs?
So you can go to a CAA store and every person's eligible to get 2 signs for free. They come with some instructions because every municipality has some different rules in terms of being able to where they can place these signs. But, in York region, we've got a couple of stores that you can go to. There's Newmarket on Davis Drive and in Markham on Woodbine Avenue. And you can get these 2 signs, put them up on their front lawns. We've seen a huge uptake, and partly it's because people are saying they work. It's giving drivers a sobering second thought about what they're doing.
Yeah, I would have to say they do. So how do people find their nearest? You know what? I'm not even going to ask you that. I'm going to tell you. You just go to Google Maps, you put CAA store, and it will give you your nearest one.
Exactly. So yes, look up your closest CAA store, and please walk in and ask for your lawn signs.
All right, let's hope they have some sort of effect. Thank you very much for this again, Teresa Di Felice from the CAA.
My pleasure.
We appreciate your business. We are 1059 The Region.